Welcome to the BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit, where symbolic integrity meets strategic clarity. At BBIU, we go beyond the headlines to decode the structural forces behind global biopharma, AI, and economic realignment. If you value precision, verification, and symbolic depth, this channel is for you. Subscribe now to access our weekly briefings, dossiers, and intelligence reports, and consider joining our institutional tier to unlock early warning systems, custom metrics, and exclusive strategic insight. You're not just listening, you're entering the future of epistemic intelligence. www.BioPharmaBusinessIntelligenceUnit.com.
Sotatercept in early pulmonary arterial hypertension, structural reassessment of therapeutic onset executive summary. The HYPERION trial, published in NEJM on September 30, 2025, provides a decisive inflection point in the management of pulmonary arterial hypertension, PAH. For the first time, Sotatercept, previously tested in long-standing disease, STELLAR, ZENITH, was deployed within the first year after diagnosis in patients already on dual or triple therapy. Results were striking. Clinical worsening occurred in 10.6% versus 36.9% of patients. Sotatercept versus placebo, translating into a 76% reduction in risk, HR 0.24, 95% CI 0.14.41, P 0.001. Hospitalizations and exercise deterioration were sharply reduced. Mortality differences were neutral at 1 year. The trial was stopped early due to loss of equipoise, amplifying its symbolic and regulatory significance. Sotatercept is no longer an end-stage rescue, but a front-loaded disease-modifying anchor. Key findings: trial design phase 3, randomized, placebo-controlled 320 patients, FC2-3 PAH diagnosed 12 months on background therapy. Primary endpoint, time to first clinical worsening event. Results: events 10.6%, 30%, 9.24, exercise deterioration 5.8%, PAH hospitalization 1.9% versus 8.8%, mortality 4.4 versus 3.8%, not different. Adverse events, epistaxis 31.9%, telangiectasias 26.2%. Duration, median follow-up 13.2 months. Registry confirmation, clinicaltrials.gov, NCT 04A192, Mark's trial is completed April 3, 2025. Sponsor Merck Sharp and Dohme, global enrollment, randomized design confirmed. Structured BBIU opinion. The symbolic pivot here is not clinical alone but structural. Sotatercept becomes the first biologic anchor therapy in PAH used at diagnosis, not deferred to failure. This reframes treatment. Instead of managing decline, physicians can embed a remodeling agent at inception, potentially shifting survival curves long-term. Early signals are consistent with improved outcomes, but definitive survival effects require longer follow-up. Economically, this will pressure payers. Sotatercept moves from niche salvage use to potential frontline adoption, expanding budget impact. Annual drug spending for PAH can reach high 5- to 6-figure ranges depending on market and contracts. National health systems must recalibrate cost-effectiveness thresholds, particularly in Europe and Asia, where PAH drug pricing already faces scrutiny. Strategically, Merck transforms PAH from a stagnant orphan market into a biologic-dominated frontier, displacing PDE5 inhibitors and endothelin antagonists as backbone therapies. Symbolically, the early termination signals inevitability. Payers, regulators, and clinicians are presented not with debate, but with a fait accompli. Structural implications, clinical practice, guidelines will likely incorporate Sotatercept at diagnosis for FC3 within 12 months, especially for intermediate high-risk patients. Regulatory policy, EMA/FDA may fast-track indication expansions, reducing the distinction between established and newly diagnosed PAH. Market economics, budgetary displacement of current oral therapies, insurers may push sequencing criteria, but pressure will mount for first-line approval. Symbolic layer. Early Sotatercept represents a shift of PAH from a fatal chronic trajectory to a remodelable vascular disorder. This rebranding has implications in rare disease advocacy, pricing negotiations, and broader biologic pipelines.
You've reached the end of the open section of this BBIU content. The complete analysis, with full data, structural frameworks, and extended annexes, is available exclusively to our subscribers. At BBIU, we believe the real value lies beyond headlines, in the depth of structural intelligence that helps leaders and organizations see further. If you want access to the complete archive and future reports, join us at BBIU and take part in the next level of analysis.